Anyone who says they understand every Winter Olympic sport at Pyeongchang is probably not telling the truth. There are a handful of sports that are just plain wacky. You've probably heard of some of these weird sports, like curling, but others like doubles luge are pretty obscure. We've rounded out the strangest of the strange when it comes to Winter Olympic events to figure out what the heck is actually going on. Now, we can finally understand and enjoy all of the Olympics this year. The luge is strange to begin with, because it looks like they're not even doing anything on those sleds, but it gets even more bizarre with the doubles luge. Two lugers lay on top of each other as they sled downhill at up to 70 miles per hour. The result is an undeniably funny-looking stack of spandex-suited athletes rocketing down an icy track. Skeleton is an Olympic sport where athletes lay face down on a small sled, a skeleton bobsled, and hurtle themselves down a steep, icy path. The prone-to-accidents position in tiny sled makes the sport look pretty wacky, and it can get very intense. Some elite skeleton sledders reach speeds of 80 miles per hour while fighting 5 gs of downforce. Curling is probably one of the most notorious and most mocked Olympic sports of all time. The athletes slide a stone across an ice sheet and try to get it close to a target, somewhat like shuffleboard. The whole process, from the release to the rigorous brooming and yelling, just looks hilarious. Once upon a time, a cross-country skier thought to himself, "I should be shooting a gun while I do this," and that's possibly how the biathlon was born. The sport requires cross-country skiers to stop at intervals and shoot targets with rifles. It requires the athlete to slow his or her heart rate and shoot with precise accuracy after a hardcore cross-country ski trek. Ski jumping is a little less confusing than some of the sports on our list, but it's not something people do on a weekend trip to the slopes either. Mogul skiing is a timed run down a steep hill with mounds and small jumps. It sounds simple, and it looks a little goofy when the athletes bounce down the hill, but it takes incredible athleticism to do quickly. Slopestyle involves skiers and snowboarders taking on a course with rails, jumps, and other park features. Like most action sports competitions, they're judged based off difficulty, height of jumps, execution, and overall performance. It was just introduced at the 2014 Sochi Olympics, so it's a little less goofy than some of the older sports. In aerial skiing, athletes take off on 2 to 4 meter jumps and try to do as many clean flip and twists as they can before landing about 20 meters below. If you've watched aerial athletes flip at full speed, it doesn't even look real, because their skis stay completely flat and parallel while they flip and twist through the air. Ski cross pits 4 skiers against one another in a race and involves a timed run down a course with all sorts of terrain. It's similar to motocross, where you fly down an obstacle course filled with twists, turns, bumps and, oh yeah, some big air. Ice dancing is essentially figure skating with fancy outfits and ballroom-style dance moves, but without the jumps. A pair of ice skaters is judged based on both their athleticism and style. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.